Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and we have some newsy nuggets because if you are watching this and it is Monday, well, actually, I'll probably put this out Sunday, but Diddy's trial is starting Monday. Get your baby oil ready. Or, mark yourself safe from both Diddy and R. Kelly on Monday if you are not called into subpoena as a witness. Whichever way you want to celebrate this. The Diddy trafficking trial is set to begin Monday. Everything need to know as jury selection begins. So, if you are new to trials, typically what happens in a criminal case is there are years to multiple years of preliminary hearings where motions in limine are fought about. Basically, is this allowed to come? Is this not allowed to come in? The lawyers fight for that. A lot of, very critical choices in trials are made in these pre-trial hearings, these motions in limine, these rulings on, experts and things like that. The next part is that a jury is selected. So it will be interesting to see if they can find a jury that hasn't heard about this case, hasn't been exposed to a lot of media, can be fair and, listen to the facts. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Now, jury selection is set to begin on Monday in the trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs, the 55-year-old hip hop mogul who has spent the last 7 months in a Brooklyn jail after being indicted by a federal grand jury on charges of trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in smonstitution. Rhymes with constitution, oldest profession of the world, if you catch my drift. Now, this is going to be a federal trial, so it will not be televised. I do think the infamous Sylvia that I met on Nick's stream last night, happy belated birthday, and hope that you recover from your hot sauce and wheel of regrets, Nick. But she said she is going to be covering it, so best of luck and safety and, all of the good luck as she goes to New York. But this is going to not be televised, so we are gonna be relying on our, YouTube friends, our independent media, and then the mainstream media to kind of give us updates about what is going on in this trial. Now, Sean Diddy Combs has pled not guilty. Now, if convicted, he could face up to life in prison. At a hearing Thursday, Combs told the court that he rejected a plea deal that had been offered by prosecutors. The terms of that particular plea deal were not disclosed. Now, according to the indictment, Combs, known as so he has been accused of abusing, threatening, and coercing women and others around him to fulfill his own desires, protect his reputation, and conceal kind of that overall conduct. So he would have these elaborate, erotic, I guess, freak offs that were maybe not as consensual as with every participant, and then threaten, blackmail, or abuse the victims of these. Now, it contains a litany of shocking allegations claiming that for decades Combs used his business empire to conduct quote unquote freak offs, drug fueled SMEX performances in which women were allegedly coerced to participate. The Bad Boys record founder is accused of arranging and directing and then giving himself his own little hand hug during these freak offs, which he would often record, sometimes unbeknownst to those victims, for possible future blackmail, you know, kind of attempts. Now, the freak offs would last for days with multiple sex workers involved. Combs allegedly distributed not straight legal pharmaceuticals, including all of the things that you guys know about that YouTube really doesn't like me saying. So, just on all of the not legal street pharmaceuticals one could want to keep to these victims to keep them both obedient and compliant during these freak offs. Now, after these day long, sessions and freak offs, Combs and the victims would typically receive IV fluids to recover from, well, all the freakiness. Hopefully, they also took real long showers. Now, Combs' employees allegedly arranged for these sex workers to cross state lines. They also allegedly booked hotel rooms and stocked rooms with freak-off supplies, including more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant, and arranged for the travel of the victims. Now, the recordings Combs made of the freak-offs were used as collateral to make sure that the victims would remain silent, according to the indictment. The indictment also further alleges that Combs used force multipliers, kidnapping, and arson to further control his victims. Now, none of the victims were identified by name in the indictment, but allegations involving victim one appear to align with a March 2016 incident in which Combs was recorded on surveillance video laying hands, kicking, and throwing a vase at his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, at a Las Vegas hotel. And this is just disturbing video footage. I can't put it up. It shows violence, and YouTube doesn't like that. But also, it's just heartbreaking to watch, someone's victimization like that. Now, in a separate incident outlined in the indictment, Combs allegedly dangled a victim over an apartment balcony. Now, Combs's lawyers are going to be fighting extra hard for their defendant. Combs's legal team is led by veteran criminal defense attorney Mark Angofino, who has experience with high-profile cases, having previously represented the NXIVM cult, so that weird cult that branded people. That is all the shades of crazy. I haven't even touched that one. So their leader, Keith Rainier, and pharma bro Martin Shirelli, among others. Combs' other lawyers include Tenny Garagos, Alexandra Shapiro, and Brian Steele, who also represented rapper Young Thug in a racketeering case in Georgia that was the subject of a recent New Yorker profile. Now, what will they be arguing? At a pretrial hearing last month, Angolfino offered a preview of his defense, arguing that Combs was engaged in a swinger sort of lifestyle and that all of the behavior was consensual, even common. It was just a Tuesday. Like on Tuesday, we do freak offs. On Wednesday, we wear pink. And on Thursday, bye, Felicia. I don't know. I mean, I don't know his personal day planner. There is a lifestyle, call it swingers or call it whatever you want, that he thought was appropriate because it was common. Engolfino said in court, many people think it's appropriate because it's common. Now, he had previously called the prosecution of Combs unjust. We are disappointed by the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by the U.S. Attorney's Office. He is an imperfect person, but he is not a criminal, Angolfino said in a statement following his indictment. He looks forward to clearing his name in court. Now, who are the prosecutors? A team of 8 U.S. attorneys will be arguing the case for the government, including Emily Johnson, Madison Smizer, Mary Slavak, Meredith Foster, and Mitzi Steiner, who are all listed as lead lawyers on the docket. I do wonder if there's going to be any interesting interplay that we're going to see from a all-female, prosecutorial team in a case that is going to be, about sexual victimization and, probably involve both female and male victims. It will be interesting to see if there's any dynamic there or if it's just something that I'm, adding on there that isn't even a big deal. Now, the prosecution team also features Maureen Ryan Comey, daughter of former FBI Director James Comey. Now, in 2022, she helped secure a conviction against British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell for conspiring with Jeffrey Epstein to abuse underage girls. Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years, and we still haven't gotten the black book, so she's essentially in trouble for trafficking people to nowhere and no one. Strange, weird, weird, weird. Now, this will be the judge in the case. The overseeing judge in the trial is Arun Subramanian, who was nominated to the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York by then President Joe Biden in 2022 and confirmed by the Senate in 2023. Now, if you are an uber nerd like me, you tend to like to watch these Senate confirmation hearings of judicial figures because there can be some fireworks. I don't remember this judge in particular, but I am a nerdy nerd, so I probably saw snippets if I'm honest with you. Now, he is the first judge of South Africa, not South African, excuse me, sir, I apologize, South Asian descent to serve on that particular court's bench. He is a Columbia Law School graduate who clerked for the late Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg and was a partner at Manhattan law firm Sussman Goffrey, where he specialized in both commercial and bankruptcy law. Diddy is the Diddy case is believed to be his highest profile trial as of yet. Now, it is unclear who is exactly expected to take the stand at the trial. Witnesses at the trial, who's going to be there, who's going to be called by both sides. We're not sure. Cassie Ventura Combs' ex, whose explosive 2023 lawsuit was the first of, nearly a dozen civil lawsuits against him, is expected to testify for the prosecution, according to People magazine. NBC News reported that prosecutors are also expected to call Don Hughes, a forensic psychologist who testified at R. Kelly's federal trial and at the Johnny Depp Amber Heard defamation trial. She is also expected to testify at Harvey Weinstein's retrial on SA and gross charges. Now, who else will be in the courtroom? Members of Combs' family, including his mother, Janice Combs, and his sons have appeared at pretrial hearings to support them. Now, of course, this trial will not be televised because this is a federal court and those proceedings are, not allowed to be streamed. Now, this trial is expected to last 8 to 10 weeks with opening statements scheduled for May 12th. But they do have to get a jury. Now, different courts have different amounts of jurors that they want, including, the 12 and then however many alternates. Usually there is a guideline, sort of a table that they use for higher profile cases. So they have enough, hopefully. But this is going to be an incredibly long trial. So hopefully they find jurors who are able to do this without it being too much of a burden for them financially. I don't know what the compensation is for federal juries, but I can imagine that, taking on a 8 to 10 week case is about like taking on the Karen Reed case. It's going to be a long and, intense ride. So I hope they find a jury that is capable of listening to all the facts. But that is what you need to know if you are looking forward to following or keeping up with the Diddy trial that should be starting at least jury selection on Monday. Thank you for sticking around with me. Down below in the comments, tell me what you think the possible outcome is going to be for this. I mean, I'm no Miss Cleo, but the feds generally don't bring charges against you, and yes, unless they've got like all the evidence. So, Mr. Combs, I'm just telling you, maybe I would look again at the plea deal if it was me. Bye, you guys.